How do you change the society to something that's better, and how do you innovate? So I see design not just as a aesthetic and a surface texture, but also a way to innovate, a process to innovate. We have startups that grow to $1 billion evaluation in a year today. And if you as a company cannot really organize yourself to meet those new market needs quickly enough, you're fastly running out of steam in that market. It has a lot to do with behavioral science, actually.
Johan, absolutely a pleasure to have you here in India
Thank you.
and to be talking to you on the camera for the first time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it just reminds me sitting here, what a wonderful journey we've had, from 2018 to now in 2024.
Yeah.
I don't
Through
think
tough times.
a lot. I don't think you had a clue or I had a clue that we would be associated for such a long time.
No.
When we first met, I must start with expressing my gratitude and thank you for, introducing me to the world of design and design thinking. When we started the journey of Keus in 2017 and met you in 2018, we had no clue about how to build a product, what a product means, what a product design means, and design thinking means. We'll always be thankful for that introduction and everything else that you have done post that in the journey of Keus. Now that we are recording this, the general perception of the world is very different about design. Apple may have changed that for a lot of common people, but I still think most people don't understand what design is all about.
Yeah.
So it'd be good to hear from you what you think about design.
So I think for most people, design has to do with surface. Something aesthetic and surface, and that's it. For me, I see also the journey of how design has developed throughout the years. And the complexity of industries and combining the physical product with a digital service and system. And what we have discovered in that journey is that these methodologies and processes that design has always been using has also been very helpful to understand huge problems that are not just concerned about the product in itself, but how other people relate to the product, and also in terms of higher structures. How do you change the society to something that's better, and how do you innovate? So I see design not just as a aesthetic and a surface texture, but also a way to innovate, a process to innovate, and to come up with solutions that are grounded in people's behavior. That surface and that aesthetic is maybe 10%. It's an important 10%, but it's far from everything.
The first step is to understand the customer's need,
Yes.
right? So to actually go and interview various customers.
Yeah.
The trick here is one, that customer gives you the pains and the perceived gains out of a solution.
Yeah.
But as an expert, you are also able to figure out the unknown needs,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So can you give a little bit of insight how you're able to bring out an unknown need of a customer?
That's an interesting question, because it also comes with a lot of experience, It has a lot to do with behavioral science, actually, to understand different personalities in terms of this. when different personalities start coming up on the sales curve and, you're building volume, and who you are serving at different stages of a company's growth period. So one is to understand, those personalities that you come across in that journey. In our development of moving forward and connecting the product to a digital back end, we also have access to way much more data. And it's extremely valuable for a designer to take part in that data, to understand that data and see really how people are using that product. So that's also been driving this kind of process of understanding more and more data. So for me, I almost never do anything without data first.
Okay.
So I call it the data first process, right? Collect the data and then make decision based on that. Your marketing director said it's about distinguishing the data points from the noise, the market noise.
Yes.
You do not react on the market noise in general. You should understand what's relevant for you to react to.
Yes.
And that you can only do with really understanding your own data. So for me, I try to work with that process and to build solutions from that knowledge of data.
I can't imagine in today's world any boardroom not having exposure to design thinking, design. The world is changing. The world is about digital, physical. And if you're at the executive level and taking decisions and you have no exposure, you'll not have the courage, you'll not have the idea to take decisions. You'll not be able to support your mid-management, you'll not be able to support your designers. And that's the future.
We have startups, primarily financial industry, that grow to $1 billion evaluation in a year today.
Yes.
And if you as a company cannot really organize yourself to meet those new market needs quickly enough, you're fastly running out of steam in that market. So what I also see is this process really helps you to navigate this market and to also quickly be able to shift, in direction and where you're going with that data of understanding. So constantly digging in your data and looking at that data and reviewing that data, analyzing the data, gives you a pretty good understanding of where everything is heading, right? And that also gives you ability to navigate. So for me, that data is very much connected to design and design thinking. And it takes a while to understand this process, but for me, it's really a key factor for success today.
So you believe some of the successful startups are doing this very well?
Fantastic, yeah.
And some of the legacy companies are slow at adopting.
Yeah.
And actually they're losing out.
Correct. Yeah.
So the key is how the whole process can be more widely adopted.
When everything is moving so quickly, you really need, as a legacy company, to bring in a form of agility to really be able to move in those spaces.
Yeah.
And the only real good way you can do that is through design thinking, to have both internal understanding and external understanding of how to do that in the best possible way.
Yeah. Now let's talk about the first phase of the Keus journey. I have very fond memories of me visiting Hong Kong, your beautiful office, the beautiful location, and then your visit to India and be interviewing. From your perspective, what are the key points that you remember?
I get a lot of questions, what's your favorite product? And why do product become good? And I'm almost always had the same answer. It's not me that makes the product, it's the team. And if there's a good team, there's a willingness to listen and adopt new ways of working. Usually the products become very, very good. And I feel that that's really been the case in Keus. Like in a very good discussions along the way. We had some tough fun as well, but always with some kind of respect. I feel when I arrived this time, to arrive to a group of friends, really.
We did many, many interviews with architects, potential customers who were using automation, developers.
Yeah.
We picked up, 3 or 4 key pain points, and there were some key gain points. Do you recollect what were those?
First of all, it was the first time I visited India. So it was quite an experience for me to visit the homes and seeing the switches that they had in their homes that I'd never seen before.
So many switches.
So many switches. But I remember one pain point clearly, and that we later called it friend proof and family proof, because we were at the time trying to find our nearest stakeholders, right? The most relevant stakeholders. But we also did early stage qualitative interviews with the users. Many people said that in order for me to adopt such a system, my grandmother and grandfather also needs to use this system. My friends need to use this system when they come into the house. So it gave me a very big sense of this system needs to be simple enough that anyone can use it. And seeing the rest of the market, as it is today, I don't really feel that all of them have reached that first pain point. That was a really key pain point to pick up early, to start, thinking simple here, make people really understand and do a beautiful solution of it.
And like you said earlier, simple is not just about the physical product, it's also the digital.
Yeah.
And how they come together.
Correct. Yeah.
I also remember most people had the concern that if something goes wrong, we don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the reason people had not chosen automation. That was a universal problem. We came back and we said, we'll design something that will never fail.
Yeah, that's also this, make sure that is adapted to Indian circumstances, right? So India has a certain set of pain points in itself. We have high surges of electricity, which means that we need to design them differently than for the rest of the market. So we can't just take in third-party suppliers and just adopt them to the system. We always need to consider how does this fit into an Indian context, right? And I think that was also something very early that we came to terms with, that it's not something that we can just take from China or take from Europe or, and start building it. We need to build it with the background of actually the pain points that we have in the Indian electrical system. And I think that kind of set us off in this journey,
And I remember one common theme across the architects and interior designers is it's too complex to plan. The legacy automation systems. Can you share a little bit of our synthesis of that information?
Well, I think also we were fortunate that we had a very strong technical transformation in this time period. So we see a lot of pain points from those legacy systems now, that the wires are becoming a huge pain point for them, and replacing those with a digital system is such a much easier way of adopting this into the homes.
And I remember when it came to functions and features, people pretty much wanted whatever every other automation system gave. And then we set off on our journey. Once we had this clarity, that we set off on our journey. How do you rate Keus in building and evolving that product, taking it to the market?
Well, I think we had an extremely tough time because we did it in the middle of COVID, first of all.
Yes.
So it cut off our supply chains from China, and which we are now, of course, moving into India to not ever have that problem again. Because that was probably, that was a tough period.
completely unexpected, unplanned for.
Yeah.
We clearly thought that our version 1 of our products, hardware would come from China and software we do in India. Yeah, it's been quite a journey on, and
Yeah.
I tell you, very exciting, very tough. But what this stuff has done is, we've learned a lot.
Yeah.
We got an opportunity to apply those learnings. It gives us so much confidence
Yeah.
today that irrespective of the complications, which generation of product we want to bring, we will actually be able to build it out of India.
Yeah.
Now you're here. You visited the customers who are using the product that we had conceived,
Yeah.
which we had designed, which was in a digital form. The functions, features, we thought we'd get it to them.
Yeah.
And you actually saw
Yeah.
that being used by the customers.
Yes.
Can you tell me a bit about that experience?
I was very happy with the response that they gave us. Out of 1 to 7, what would you rate Keus? 6 is a very common number that they put. They're extremely happy with the system. And that's really gratifying when you've done so much work.
Absolutely.
And just seeing how easy it is for them to use the system and which function that they're using that we initially, started to rate and plan. And now seeing how much they appreciate that is an extremely pleasant experience.
I remember you telling me that when you go to the market, you should have a very good chance of succeeding.
Yeah.
So let's win at the prototype stage. Let's win in this process and not in the market.
Correct.
And I'm so glad that I took your advice very seriously.
Yeah.
This is very, very satisfying.
Yeah.
You envision something, we conceptualize it, build it, take it to the market, and the consumer is delighted.
Yeah.
Nothing gives you more satisfaction in life than that.
Yeah. But I also here must say that I think your leadership in this situation have also been, open and accessible and, listening in terms of, and being able to process this into a way that supports that direction. And I think it's not always that the CEO of companies actually have that ability.
Thank you, Johan. As a leader, you're always facing your challenges. I hope to be more open and more listening to experts and imbibing all this knowledge and expertise as we go along the journey. So, I think for people who are viewing this video, they will also be very keen to know what is in store for the next generation of the Keus. How do you envision the next part of this journey?
What we have done now is to do a series of interviews with users that use Keus in their homes, listen to them, document their pain and gain points, what they like, what they dislike, how we can improve. And we have also interviewed architects in terms of how they feel that we as Keus, as a company, are working together with their organization, what we can improve in that situation. And then we have had a big workshop in terms of analyzing that data. And we have started to take that data and create new interface designs in terms of how we can kind of meet those requirements. And I see now that we're even more easy to use. We divided up the interface in a beautiful way. And also with the team, the current team in Keus has really done such an amazing job and curating everything together and taking their part and bringing their part to the table. It's something that's been working very well. And I'm quite excited to see this process moving forward into a new product roadmap that we will kick off pretty soon.
So a new product, your product that is better than what we have ever done?
Oh yes, much better.
Much better.
Yeah.
much more simpler,
Yeah.
easier to use,
Yeah.
even more than what it is
Yeah.
today. Better looking, better in touch.
Yeah, much richer materials. I think we have found a way to really build richness into the experience of this product. If we can make this happen, I think we will have some beautiful consoles coming out from the end of this.
And much more digital and physical.
Yeah.
A lot more integration. Lot
Correct.
more seamlessness.
Correct. With this digital landscape that we now live in, we shouldn't make it more difficult for people
Absolutely.
to use the product. We should make it simpler. And I think so many are failing in that, making it simpler. It should be simple to use. It should be extremely simple to use.
And that's the reason we follow the process of listening to the customers, going back to them.
You will never reach that point unless you listen to your customers. You know, as we continue to work like this and learn from our mistakes and continuously improve the product, there's no end to this, you know.
Yeah, there's no end.
Yeah.
Absolutely, there's no end. And that's what is exciting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Johan, wonderful. It's always a pleasure to interact with you on any topic.
Very good.
Thank you, Johan.
Thank you.